Yeah.
Good morning.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Good morning. Yes, you guys are listening to Amy here with an author talk short, and my lovely author kicking off this Tuesday morning is Brad. So, hey, Brad, tell us what genre you write in.
I usually write in sci-fi.
Nice. I like it. So, what got you interested in writing where you wanted to, publish a book?
Well, all right. So I don't know what got me interested in writing. It's just something that I've always done ever since I was a kid. I don't know. It's like I got stories. You got stories in your head, and you just got to get them out, and they
Right.
just play in your head until you get them out. And then it was funny. Okay, so I did all this writing as a kid, and I'd always be like, oh, I want to write a big novel because that's what you do, right? And then I'd always start a novel, and then I'd stop, and I'd start and I'd stop. This was when I was a kid, and so when I was a teenager, I was like, you know what? I'm going to commit. I'm going to start writing a novel, and I'm not gonna stop until I'm finished writing the novel. And I got about a quarter of the way through, and the same thing happened. But I was like, I'm not going to write anything new until I finish this novel. So I like as a don't ever put yourself in a corner like that, because I stopped writing for like, I don't know, 15 years, 15, 20 years, right? Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, it's like became a teenager, got in university, trying to get my life going and stuff like that. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I like, okay, I got like time for hobbies and stuff like that. And like blew the dust off of this. And then I finished that novel finally in my 30s. And then I was like,
Nice.
okay, I'm not going to make that commitment anymore again. And then I've been writing ever since. So yeah, that's don't box yourself in a corner. That's the only
I
advice
love it. You're not alone though. I hear several authors, they do that. They kind of pick it up, stop, and it ends up taking them 10, 15 years, to finish a book. So
Yeah.
I get it. I think it's common in the writing community. I think that's something
Yep.
that's common for
Yep.
sure. So how many books have you written since then, since you changed
Okay.
your strategy there?
Cool. Yeah. So all right. So I self-published 3. Then I got and so I always kind of think of those as my practice books,
Okay.
because you got to like learn how to write a book, and you only learn how to write a book by writing books. So I self-published 3. Those I kind of figure that's kind of where I was learning the trade. I got a 4th one that was picked up by it was originally picked up by Bundurian Press, and then picked up by Shadowpaw Press after that. So that's a 4th book. I have a draft, or I have a manuscript of a 5th book finished. I'm starting my 6th. I also do nonfiction as well. So I by day I'm a university prof. I lure people to the dark side in business. And so I did my PhD, and I turned my PhD into a book, and then I turned that into an open access textbook to support this course that I developed. So I've done some
Wow.
nonfiction as well. So now I've done a lot. I don't know.
Wow, you've done so much. You dabble, but that's too extreme. You go from sci-fi to nonfiction,
Yeah.
like world building to, real world. Like that's so fascinating. I
Yeah,
love that.
exactly. No, it's I don't know. It's like I don't know. I just like writing. Like, even so I say during my day I'm a university prof and stuff like that, and like just creating courses and sort of just creating that the architecture of leading people through thoughts is, I
Yeah.
don't know, there's some transference between writing, between teaching, between all these types of things. Like, how do you kind of create these ideas in people's mind and lead them through this, and get them to these get them to see what you want to see, and get them to think what you want them to think, and things like that, right?
Yeah. See, I love that. I have a degree in psychology, so I love.
Oh, you're all about that.
Yeah, I love all aspects of that, right? Like those things just make me smile. It's the weirdest thing, but I'm like, what makes you tick? Like
Yeah.
what can I do that's going to just make you tick? I
Yeah.
don't know. I love things like that. So everyone that listens or watches the replay, they all know I've never written a book. I've worked with authors for a really long time, like 13, 14 years. I've never written a book because I know what all goes into it, and like the stress, and like this so much unknown, right? I feel like
Yeah.
everyone's publishing journey is so different, and it's different every time. And so I know what goes into it. So I don't write a book. And my grammar, if you haven't
Oh.
already realized, Brad, by my emails, my grammar is not my strong suit. Okay. I just, avoid all of that. So I bring authors on, and I live vicariously through you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm always fascinated with sci-fi writers though. Like you guys, I wanted like you guys to me, if I could just study, you guys would be so great because you guys can build fascinating worlds.
Yeah.
Right. And then even if you have like portals that go into other worlds and the way that you guys build these and keep everything straight is just to me so fascinating.
It's
And
a
all
bunch of work.
of it. Right. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like it's like dedication to write sci-fi.
Yeah.
And you can't be like, I'm organized like when I'm doing these, but my desk is never organized,
Oh, you should see my desk.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I thrive in chaos like that.
Yeah.
So what is your like process like? Do you consider yourself like a pantser, a plotter? What is that
Yeah.
process like?
Okay. So I don't know. I've tried it all, and I'm probably even though I'm all these books in, I'm still probably trying to kind of feel my way through what am I. I think I'm an organized pantser. I think that's probably there you go. I'm
Okay,
an organized pantser.
I like
Um,
it.
like I've tried to just like free flow it. And the problem with free flowing it is that you can have stories that kind of wander and don't have structure, and then you got to figure out how to deal with that after, right?
Right.
So I sort of went from that to like being really rigidly like an architect, like I'm going to plan this all out scene by scene and stuff like that, and the beats in the scene before I start writing. So I did that for a while, and that I don't know, like I'll be honest, like that kind of like killed the joy of writing for me, right? Just like being so organized and just
Yeah.
like that wasn't working for me either. And so it was kind of what's this most recent book that I'm working on now. It's kind of a little bit of both.
Okay.
I had the idea in my head. I just boom started writing. I sort of got the first kind of scene, the first chapter out. Then I went back and just like a real sort of a bare bones flesh out of the structure, and then kind of got back to writing. And so I kind of had this bare bones of the like sort of the direction of where I wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like I say it's an organized pantser, right? I'm kind of
Yeah.
winging it, but I kind of know where I want it to go, and I kind of know that the main plot beats that I want to get to.
Yeah,
But
for
there's a lot
sure.
of organicness in there.
Yeah. See, I feel like if I ever was going to write a book, I would be like that. Like I can't plot it out, and have
Yeah,
like a strict outline because then it would bring me so much overwhelm and frustration if I deviated from that.
yeah, yeah,
I'm very much like if I write it down this way, it has to be this way, right?
yeah,
I feel like I'd be more of like a pantser, but I know certain like big moments that I want to happen.
yeah,
So
yeah,
lightly plotted,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
okay if it deviates.
Yeah, lightly plotted, lightly plotted. Like here's some of the big beats that I got to get to, and then yeah, just kind of some organic. You kind of let it go organically, and then yeah, some I don't know, like the
Yeah.
story reveals itself, the characters reveal themselves to you. I find like as you write and as you actually kind of create it, and yeah, just for me, I found that yeah, that rigid sort of scene by scene plotting it out, just I couldn't get that organic flow, and it just didn't it didn't feel right. I couldn't feel like I just didn't feel the story.
Yeah.
I was like,
I
oh, okay,
understand that 100% when I had to write papers,
yeah,
in high school or like when I was, because my degree is like in research. So when I was doing like experiment papers and research papers and all of that. And then if I like deviated and I was like, well, I really want to say this, but it's not in my outline. So I can't like, it would
yeah.
stress me out. Like, it's so weird, but it would stress me out. And I'm like, I can't do this. Like,
Like it becomes a cage. Like, oh, I'm trapped now.
exactly.
I'm trapped now. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm bound, right? I
yeah.
can't handle this,
No,
right?
I know.
But I feel like with sci-fi, right? And even if it's just like a space opera, right? If you just have,
Yeah,
it's a space odyssey or whatever
yeah,
kind of
with the
sci-fi it
lasers.
is. Yeah. And so I feel like even if you do that, the creativity, I feel like
Yeah,
that goes into that is like for me, I feel like that is one of the hardest genres to write in.
it's tricky. And I
Yeah.
found I was talking about this recently with somebody. I can't remember who now, but it's like it's almost unfair, right? Because like if I just wrote fiction, all I have to do is just come up with a plot and the characters, and I can start writing fiction. So
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
sci-fi. I got to come up with a plot. I got to come up with the characters, and then I got to spend like 2 months like building the world and figuring that out. So I don't
Yeah.
actually get to like start the story for like a while, or there's yeah. See, it It takes a lot. It takes a lot for me because I say like I'm not a full like I work and write. So
Yeah.
for me, it takes months. It's just kind of months in the evening and on the weekend, kind of fleshing this out. And yeah, part of it is, you know, and you see people like, because world building is fun. Like on one hand, world building is real fun. Like it's just creative, and there's like no pressure, right? Because like it's no story. You're just creating stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um, but the challenge, like sometimes you find, like I don't know, like when you go on like world building subs and stuff like that, you kind of find like people sometimes get lost in the world building. Like they build this world, but then like what's the story? There is no story, right? They just build the world, and it's a cool world, but there's no story. And
Yeah.
so you kind of got to get that balance about like so yeah, I find you it's a bit of an iterative process. You need to build enough of the world that you can have the story in it, and then you
Mhm.
start telling the story. Then as you start telling the story, you start to figure out where all the blanks in your world are, and then you gotta
Yeah.
kind of flag it, go back, flesh that out, and then that impacts the story again. So it's almost like a little bit of a, you know, you sort of get an idea for the structure of the story, you get an idea for the structure of the world, then as you're writing it, so there's this iterative process through the drafts where you start trying to flesh things out and all
Yeah.
that.
It's
um
so intricate and so, like, in depth,
yeah,
and then I feel like even when you're writing sci-fi, right, they're always series, at least all the ones that I've ever
yeah,
heard about, they're always in series, right? And they have, like, this whole giant plot,
yeah,
and it's gonna expand over, X amount of books,
yeah,
and then but they're gonna write everything first,
yeah,
right? Finish
yeah,
building their world, write everything first. They have to have their maps visually and then, like, family trees and charts to keep it.
yeah,
It is
yeah,
I like, for me, just I love working with, like, I work with sci-fi, all genres, but, like, indie small press authors, right? That's
yeah,
my realm, and I love it when a sci-fi writer gets on, and they're like, "Check out my map, like, this is the coolest thing in my book," right? It's my
yeah,
map that I had done, and they're
yeah,
so excited because, I mean, it takes, like, months before they even start writing the story because they have
yeah,
to like develop the world, and especially if there's like portals going to other worlds, what is that going to be like,
yeah,
and then they have to do the research to make sure that it fits, right, and that the science part of it works,
yeah. And
and
I mean,
it's
like,
so in depth.
and there's like, and there's subgenres within sci-fi which have different audiences with different expectations. Like if you're kind of if you're anywhere kind of close to real science, then there's going to be like a bunch of like hard sci-fi enthusiasts that are going to be like
Yes,
really technically, like that is, you know, like they're going to be really technically focused, and you got to be on your game for that. Or you kind
yeah,
of just go soft sci-fi, hand wavium, you know, the force and stuff like that, and try to avoid all that. So yeah, there's like um, audiences. There's different groups of audiences within sci-fi that you got to think about, who am I, like who's going to be reading this, and say some of them can be pretty like that's not how physics works in
they're very
space.
picky. Yeah, they
Yeah,
will nitpick, right,
yeah,
especially like hard sci-fi, like hard science, they
yeah,
will nitpick, and that's why I feel like the genre that you chose to write in is so, it's to me is the hardest,
yeah,
but it's the
yeah,
most, for me, rewarding because you really are taking people
yeah,
literally to another place out of reality,
yeah.
right? Because you
And
can
then
have the nonchalant ones where it's just like, oh, this story happens, this, murder mystery and stuff, which I love. But the sci-fi is, if you, have it written well and it's visionary and everything, you're literally placing someone else somewhere different. And I love
yeah.
that.
And then the fun thing is, and it can be a challenging thing, but it's also like it pays off. I think really, like that's one of the things that makes sci-fi so powerful, is that like you don't like, it's not just like a world you create for like by random. Like oftentimes the world that you create has to help you deliver the theme of the story, like the theme or the plot, right? Like
Yeah.
you like to explore this theme, you need this world with these characteristics, right? So it's not just to say like just this random like, oh, I'm just imagining all this stuff. Like there's this connection that like it has to be like it's it has to be for that story, right? Like that story needs this world to be told in this way. And when you can kind of really create that really well, yeah, you can just get this, I know, this depth of experience for the reader. Is that's tough to mimic in like just a fiction, just the real world. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
full immersion, which
Yeah.
is to me is, what every author strives for in any genre, but for sci-fi specifically, right? They really want you to be immersed in,
Yeah.
what they've created, and they spend so much time doing it, which I love.
Yeah.
But you've decided to join me and my crazy self. I know it's your first time meeting me, but disclaimer,
Yeah.
I'm like this all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But you've decided to join me on the 12 Days of Page Turners, and I believe that you're going to be joining me on December 8th. So I'm
Yep.
so excited to dive in deeper to this conversation because I know that me and you just talking sci-fi and going in depth to it, we can have hour-long conversations, and it's so refreshing, and I love it.
Yes.
So without telling us what you're going to be offering for this holiday season, can you give us a little bit of a hint of what it's going to be about?
For sure. Okay, so I'm kind of thinking here, and I haven't quite sort of like locked in here, but it'll have something to do with my new book with my book that's out, but with Shadowpaw Press. It's called Deutero. I do have a few just copies of my book lying around here, and I might do something with them. So it'll be something related to my book. And
I
I
love
say, I
it.
actually have some like physical books right here that I might be able to do some stuff with. I don't know. There we go. Those. I don't know.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Definitely something to do with books, right? For page turners,
Yep.
and I love it. I don't want to give too much away. But Brad, this has been such a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. So you guys make sure you tune in the 12 Days of Page Turners, December 1st through the 12th. Brad's going to be on the 8th. So make sure that you tune in to hear all about his holiday promotion that he has going for his books and just to see what is next for Brad. But until then, everybody, we'll see you later. Bye for now.